edition of Cooking with Kacy. Today we're going to focus a little bit on a Thanksgiving type food. We're going to make a sweet potato crisp. So some of you may incorporate sweet potatoes into your Thanksgiving food items. This is just a little healthier take on your traditional sweet potato casserole. Okay, so we've started with 3 large sweet potatoes, and I have already cooked those, and I have them in a bowl here that I have already started to mash. So we're just going to give those a little bit more mashing. Now I'm just using a fork to do this. If you have a potato masher, that works, or you can use an electric mixer. Whatever you have will work. Okay, so that's pretty well done. Okay, now I'm going to add to this a block of cream cheese. So I just have an 8-ounce block of cream cheese. Okay. Put it in there. Okay. And to this, I'm going to add 2/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a tablespoon of cinnamon. It's going to start to smell really good in here. Okay. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. All right. Now, you will need to go on and preheat an oven to 350 degrees. And then I'm just going to give our baking pan here a light spray. And we're going to mix this all together. Helps to have a little bit softened cream cheese. Just makes it mix up a little. Always have jumpers. Everybody always wants back out of the bowl. The sweet potatoes are actually really good for you. The traditional sweet potato casserole, maybe not so much because of all the sugar and candied pecans and things that get added to it. So this is a way you can still enjoy those flavors, but just to make it a little healthier. Sweet potatoes are full of vitamin A, beta-carotene, they have fiber in them. And you can cook them a few different ways to get them soft. You can roast them, you can boil them, but if you don't want to take up some extra space in your cooktop on Thanksgiving morning, I just baked mine in the microwave, and then I just scooped out the insides, and that worked really well. All right, we're just going to mix this really good. We want all of those ingredients incorporated together. So I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to switch to a different spoon so I can make sure that these things are getting good and mixed. I did not grow up eating sweet potato casserole, funnily enough, for Thanksgiving dinner. It wasn't until I got married that my husband's family, that was a big part of their Thanksgiving dinner. Right. Almost got this done. We'll just make sure we get all those bottom pieces good and folded. Make sure everything is nice and mixed together there. All right, scrape that off the spoon. Scrape it off my gloves. Okay, we're going to let that hang out for a minute. Put it over here in our pan. So, just going to put this right in our 9x13 baking dish. So we're going to just put this in our 9x13 baking dish. And then we'll smooth it all out.
Got a little piece that got away over there in the bowl.
Uh-oh.
Does that make a difference?
Get back in there. There we go.
Okay, we gotta have it all in there.
All right, we're just gonna smooth this all around.
It looks like you mixed it together really well.
It's a really thick batter.
It smells delicious.
Then we're going to come back once we get this done, and we're going to layer some things on top of it. Put that in there. Okay, so that part is taken care of for us. Now we're going to come over here and cut up 2 apples.
I'm always impressed with your cutting skills here. You always can cut really nice.
We're going to dice this apple up. So I want a pretty small dice, so I'm going to actually cut that. So you can see.
She's such a good chopper.
You want to keep those fingers tucked back, knuckles forward, and that will help prevent your fingers getting cut. So again, we're just I'm gonna tip that up on its side, and I'm gonna cut those down that way, turn them back over.
Oh, I'd have that looking like a mess by now.
Nice rocking motion with your knife. Now you take your time and you cut your apples as slow as you need to. Nobody wants any cut fingers on Thanksgiving.
No, that's a Halloween
Yeah.
thing, right? We pass that holiday.
So just a rocking motion with your knife. Tips of your fingers tucked back. Knuckles forward. That way, if the knife does hit something, it's going to hit your knuckles instead of your fingers. Stack those, cut them in half, and then just come back at them. This is probably the longest process of our recipe right here, is chopping these couple apples. And I'm just using Gala apples here. Feel free to use whatever apple that you might have on hand or that your family likes. I went with the apple that was the cheapest. So you can feel free to do whatever you like. If you like a little bit more tartness, you can certainly use a Granny Smith type apple with this. I think this just is going to give it another flavor dimension. So, you know, typical sweet potato casserole might have marshmallows on top of it. We're not going to do that. That's just adding sugar to your dish that you really don't need. So this, you know, while apples have sugar in them, it is a natural sugar. So our body does process that differently. Not to mention that the fact that the apples do provide us with some nutrients. Right? There's vitamins in there, there's fiber, because we're leaving that peel on. Almost done. Stay down there. Now, of course, if you didn't want to leave the peel on, you could peel these. However, that does take away some of the nutrition that's in our recipe. All right, here we go. Here is our 2 apples, nice and diced. Okay, so let's come back to the rest of our ingredients. After we take these. And we're just going to spread those over our mixture. Trying to get a nice, even layer. Okay. Right. Looks like fall on a dish.
Yes, it does.
Sweet potatoes and apples. Okay. Now we will, in our small bowl, we're going to put in flour. So I have 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. We have 2/3 cup of quick cooking oats. We had 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Okay. And then I'm going to give that a little mix. Let's get that brown sugar, flour incorporated. And then we are going to cut in 3 tablespoons of butter. Okay, so put our 3 tablespoons of butter in here. And then we are just going to slowly start working that butter in until it is nice and coarse. So you want it like a crumbled topping. This is a sweet potato crisp, so you want it kind of like a crisp topping.
So is it easier with room temperature butter or cold butter?
I think it's easier with room temperature butter.
Okay.
Some people prefer cold butter. I think it depends on what tool you're using too. I'm just using a fork and probably my fingers. So we want this nice incorporated look. Sometimes you just really got to get in there with your nice clean hands and get that mixed up.
This makes quite a big serving dish.
It
so
does make
feed
it
a lot of
good.
people.
And very simple, inexpensive ingredients. Most of the stuff you probably have at home other than maybe the fresh sweet potatoes. And you certainly could use canned sweet potatoes if you wanted to. But sweet potatoes are in season right now, so they're usually fairly inexpensive. Or it's apple season, so they're inexpensive right now. All right. So you just want this to kind of resemble these coarse crumbles.
Let's get in there close.
Like that. See how
Oh,
that is?
yes, I do.
And now we're going to stir in our pecans.
Ooh.
So I have 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. Now you can buy the already chopped pecans. I just bought halved pecans and chopped them myself. They're generally a little cheaper that way. Plus they make a great snack. Okay, so we're just going to mix those all together. And then we are going to sprinkle this over top of our sweet potato mixture and our apples. Okay. There we go. All over, we want to make sure all of it has a good coating. Remember, this does have our butter in it, so we want it to be spread out evenly so that our butter can be in all of the different parts of our mixture. All right. Now this is going to bake uncovered for 35 to 40 minutes. And remember, we preheated our oven already to 350. Okay, nice even coverage. All right, this is going to cook for 35 to 40 minutes. Can't wait for the finished results. After baking in the oven for 35 to 45 minutes, this is what your finished product should look like. We want to make sure that the top is nice and golden brown and that the apples are good and tender. I hope you enjoy.